welcome everybody to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us, hanging out for some craft beer, some conversations, just good times all around. Really is what we're about here. So, I am Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt. How the heck are you doing?
I'm doing well this week. You know what? I didn't sleep well last night, but I actually feel unfazed by it, which is bizarre. Sometimes that seems to happen with nights that you don't sleep well. I don't get
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And then other times you feel like you slept fine and you're just trash. The bodies are weird, man. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's
They'll
super
do whatever
weird.
they want. So madness. Nate, how you doing?
I'm also not sleeping well, but just happy to be here with a cold beer and uh,
Okay.
be here for the show. We took last week off because of the holiday, but I'm glad to be here with you boys and talking about beer.
Good stuff. So, how was speaking of that? How was your fourth, Nate? How was your fourth? What'd you do?
It was good. I have a friend that works for a brewery here in Atlanta, and so I went down to his family's in-laws to have some nice pool time, grilling some meats, drinking some beer, some bourbon, and watching some fireworks.
Sounds very Fourth of July there. That's
Hmm.
not bad at all. So, that's Brian. I asked you how yours was. We hung out for a while there on the
Yeah.
fourth. Had some. That's we were planning lunch, and Brian's like, "I want to go to the seafood place." I'm like, "No, no, not on the
Yeah.
fourth. We can't." I was like, "You have the choice of barbecue or hot dogs or burgers or something like that." So we ended up going to. Actually, we went to a very patriotic restaurant.
We did,
So
yeah.
a place in Woodstock called Rally Point Grill, and
Mm.
it's owned by an ex-marine, so a lot of military memorabilia and stuff there. They do a lot of like community events, like veterans associations meet up there and give a lot back to the community. So I think it was a pretty appropriate place for a Fourth of July meal. So
I
good
was
stuff.
amazed at the sheer volume of stuff that's like
Yeah,
military adjacent, like things people get, various flags, various hats. There's an
yeah.
entire shelf full
The
of like
challenge
military books,
coins. He
challenge
had big
coins.
military models like planes and different things in there. So it's
It's a bit of it's like almost like a veterans museum or something like that. It's
yeah.
kind of neat. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, nice folks there. They, I've been going there a while. They actually moved and got a larger location, but they had cold beer, which is always a good thing. Cold beer and burgers on the 4th of July. So, and I gave up before the fireworks, Nate. It was too hot. I was like,
I get it.
I have seen fireworks. I know what they do. So I just
I
gave it up.
got I got to the interesting thing about where I live. I'm next to a mall, and and I didn't know this was the reason they did it, but there's a race, a road race, the Peachtree Road Race that happens in Atlanta. It happens on the 4th
Yeah.
of July. Because of that, they can't celebrate on the 4th of July. So I thought I saw the fireworks on the 3rd of July. So I got my
Mm.
fireworks in, and they're nearby, and I can look out my window and see them. It's a kind of a cool thing,
So I don't understand why that would impact fireworks though, because the peach tree is like the crack of dawn kind of thing. Like I think they're done there by like 11:30 in the morning. It's a huge race. I was
Yeah.
actually reading up on it. I think it's the world's largest 10K. And so a lot of people, not just folks in Georgia or Atlanta, but people travel over the world to run the peach tree. And
It's huge, and I think part of it is they had an entire like multi tents, like massive multi. They covered one of the parking lots completely with tents. There's a
Oh wow.
setup. They had a stage. They had all this stuff. I think it takes some like they were setting it up several days in advance, and I think that they
Okay.
needed to have that all cleared out because barricades and things go up for the race, so they could
all
not
right.
have prepared that day of the race because of the issues with the race. So I think
I
they
got you.
just they
Okay.
moved it instead. I've never understood that, and it surprised me a few years. And I finally looked it up. Actually, AI told me. I said, "It's like, what's going on? Why is this happening on the 3rd? Is it the 3rd or the 4th?" It's like it's the 3rd. The Peachtree Road Race happens the next day, so they can't do it that way. I'm like, oh, I've lived here forever, and I didn't know that.
No
So,
idea.
yeah,
No idea. Now you know, Brian. Now
yeah.
you know.
Now I know. Yeah.
Well, good stuff, guys. World Cup is still big here, and there's been a lot of talk. I've seen people in our local beer forums like trying to get beers from the countries that remain in the in the competition. I'm not a football fan, a soccer fan, so I've only kept up with the highlights, like the stuff that makes enough of the news for people to talk about. I saw all the chatter about the American team and the red card and the guy getting to come back and then America losing. And who was it? Venezuela, Egypt, I think was kind of a
Argentina.
controversy.
Argentina, Egypt.
Okay,
Yeah, was kind of a
Argentina,
big thing.
Egypt, and I know that they came back from like a 2-0 deficit to win, and
Like in the 70th minute, or like almost 80
Yeah.
minutes in. Like, it was insane. I watched
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I continue to enjoy, I think we mentioned it before, is just how much folks are enjoying being in America. Drinking beer, eating all of our food. I've seen so many people like, oh, I see why Americans are fat. Look what they've got
Yes.
to eat here. So
Our food is
good
really, really
stuff,
good.
but-
It's too good.
Yeah. So Brian, I know it's unusual for you to watch a match, but it sounds like you watched the USA match. Nate, are you following World Cup?
Following, yes, I don't have the ability to watch from home, but I
Yeah.
did watch the U.S.-Belgium match on Monday.
Okay, I saw that Brickstore Pub, my favorite pub, they did a watch party with a Kolsch service for the
Oh,
USA
dang.
Belgium game. So in their beer garden, I'm like, that would have been a good time, no doubt. Even with the loss there, that would have been a good time.
Yeah,
I
that
went
was.
to
I watched
I went
that.
to
That was
Mutation-
painful to watch, though. Ugh, that was.
It was
a
painful to
rough
watch.
game.
I went to Mutation Brewing in Roswell, Georgia, and they had a drink special for their George Sloshington American Lager.
Okay.
It was $3
Okay.
a pint, and so we were having those to watch America get beat.
That was a good deal. They should have made him 250 though. They should have figured out some way to
Yes.
make him 250. Yeah.
Mm.
For one night they could have done that. But oh well, $3 you still can't argue with that for a pint of beer.
You can't.
Guys, speaking of beer, let's talk about our beers of the week. Brian, what are you getting into this week?
So I pre-gamed with a favorite of mine. I've been enjoying this for a number of years. I don't think people talk about it as much as they did a few years back, but Sierra Nevada's Summerfest. It's a German Pilsner. It's wonderful. I got the local package store was running a deal on it. I got a 12-pack of it. I'm like, heck yeah, it's been a minute. I'm not even sure if I had it this year. So got that. Really happy to have it again, and look forward to drinking the rest of those. And right now I'm working on New Glarus's Wisconsin Belgian Red, which is a
that's
fruit
a good
beer.
one.
Yeah, it is a really good one. It's a fruit beer made with Montmorency cherries. I never know if I'm saying those cherries' names right, but you know what I'm talking about. Wheat from Wisconsin. I think it's got some barley in it from Belgium. They lager it in oak tanks, and they balance it out with Hallertau hops that have been aged at the brewery for a year. So I think they use aged hops in this beer, if I read it correctly. Very exceptional. Like, it's a wonderful, wonderful beer. It's not quite a creek, but it's a little sweeter than a creek. But it gets you a little bit. It gives you that feeling of drinking one, and without the substantial price tag of your typical good, well-made creek. But in the after party, I'm going to get into a Finback collaboration with Hackney Brewery. I may have talked about this one before, but Hackney Brewery's out of London. The beer is called Aqualung. It's a double New England IPA brewed with Mosaic, Idaho Gem, and Azaka. And I'm getting what's the deja vu? I'm thinking, like, did we talk about Jethro Tull the last time I mentioned this?
I think
probably
because
did.
when you started saying that, I was like, I feel like we had to have mentioned Jethro Tull. That's really the only thing I know from Jethro Tull I would say Aqualung normally, but because of Jethro Tull, it's Aqua Lung.
Oh yeah,
I always think
hey Aqualung, yeah, that's
Aqualung, my friend. Yeah, so.
I got to know Jethro Tull in college, and I listened to a lot of his stuff, and I loved "Bungle in the Jungle" was one of his songs that I.
Oh, I know that one. Okay,
yeah.
I don't know it
Awesome.
well, but I know of
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, that's what I'm getting into, Tim.
Nate, what Jethro Tull themed beers are you drinking this week?
It's his little known song, "The Hustle Is Broken" by Dissolver Brewing Company.
I know that one, right? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So from Dissolver, I've got their Hustle Is Broken. It's an American IPA. This one's really tasty. It's got some grapefruit notes in it, but it's clear. They celebrate it being a clear beer. And they also celebrate it being dank, and it lives up to the description on Untappd. So I'm really enjoying this.
Good stuff. It is early July now. So I think it was Coach Rogers on our Discord chat kind of mentioned, and it was, he actually mentioned it before I saw any. But guys, we're going to see the Oktoberfest beers soon. So 'tis the season for that. Pumpkin beers won't be far behind that.
Yes, pumpkin
No.
beers.
And it's it always for those that are new to listen to the show, we have an embargo on drinking Oktoberfest beers. We do not personally consume any. Everybody, do we still have a pact on that, guys?
Oh, we're still on board
We
with
still
this.
have a pact on that. So, we refuse to drink any Oktoberfest beers until September 1st. We'll do that. But just as our little, thumb in the air, middle finger, whatever you want to call it, to seasonal creep, we can't handle our Oktoberfest beers coming in July. But they'll be there. Whether we like it or not, they're going to be out there. And, people have mixed opinions on it. A lot of guys are like, man, these are great beers. I'll take them anytime I can get them. If they want to send it out in July, I'll drink it in July. So,
One of those people is Tyler, I think.
Tyler,
throw
Tyler,
him under
he's
the
nothing.
bus.
Yeah, he's nothing but trouble. See,
Yeah.
look at this. John, we got John here saying he had a Marzen 2 weeks ago. So did they call it just a, see, we can be
If it's
manipulated.
Marzen,
Like,
I mean,
you can call it a Marzen and I'll drink it, but if you're marketing it as an Oktoberfest, like, yeah, I'm easily like manipulated, or I can find holes in my logic to it. So
here's
yeah.
here's the thing. When I saw a coach mention that, I'd already seen somebody mention on one of the social medias that somebody had screenshotted a local brewery that was already talking about releasing their Oktoberfest beer. It's happened, or it's in the process of, it is currently happening right now, and possibly will be on tap by the end of the week. I don't know which brewery it was. I saw it in passing. I'm like, oh my God, we're back to that point again.
Well, we've talked to brewers about it, and they admitted, they're like, look, we agree this is early, but in order to sell it, we have to. Basically, you've got to be the first one to get on the shelves. You got to get out there to get on the shelves if you want people to buy it. So, we have no one to blame but ourselves for the seasonal creep, because if we didn't support it, then like the Black Friday sales that they have in like June these days,
yeah.
it's like early Black Friday. We're like, no, that's not the way that works. That is not the way Black Friday works at all. But people go on and they spend, and so many things you can get it to, like video games. If any of you guys play video games, the pre-sale thing is a big deal. They're like, don't pre-buy them, guys. Don't get into pre-sales, because then there's delays and they got all this stuff. So yeah, we got Debilation Brewing's in here with us, and they're they're giving a thumbs up to Marzen any time of the year, but not for pumpkin. So that's a popular stance as well.
Pumpkin is pretty niche. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fight back against it by doing Christmas in July, because I have leftover Christmas themed beers that I didn't get into, and I saw Nice Shoe on the shelf again, and it's been missing for a while, and I bought a 4-pack of it.
Brian,
so I'm going to be drinking one of those.
You still have that Christmas box from the brewery, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
We should do a Christmas in July tasting and go through the whole Christmas box of brewery beers there.
That's been waiting. That's what I've been waiting to do, is because they're actually smaller. They're not the full 750s. I think they might be 500s, because
perfect
all
for a
package
tasting
deal.
but
a package, a tasting, it would be ideal for that. I think that would be a good time. That's what this is for.
I'll bring over I'll bring over the KBS bourbon that I got, so we can have some bourbon.
Oh, yes, the bourbon to go with it. Yeah, Boilermakers all around.
It's a party. We can put up a tree, and that's roast marshmallows on the grill.
There you go.
When we say we're gonna do it over at Nate's place,
of course,
and just have him set things up.
Yeah, that's a given. Yeah, so
we've got a Christmas tree in the basement. It's fake. We could dress it up and put an air freshener on it.
We could. That's so. My mom and her sisters were very close. My two aunts when I grew up, and they were all absolutely insane. I mean, just fruit bat crazy. And like, one thing they did is they had unbirthdays, and they decided that celebrating your birthday once a year wasn't enough, that you deserve more than that. So they randomly picked a day, each of them, that was their unbirthday, and they would get small gifts. It wasn't anything, but they make a cake and throw a small birthday party. unbirthday party. And then they also decided one year to do Christmas in July, and y'all, they went all out. I mean, decorated the house, put up a tree, all that stuff in July. So I think if we break out a case of stouts or mixed holiday beers, that we're not going too far with it. We're not going too far with it.
Completely reasonable. Completely.
Yeah. So all right. We'll talk on that, guys. We'll talk on that. Good times. Well, guys, moving right along into our beer stories of the week, some fun stuff. One more thing, Brian, we noticed that the New Belgium Voodoo Ranger, the tanker, is coming to Atlanta. And it'll actually, as this show launches on our podcast platforms on the 11th, the big old 21-foot tanker will be here in Atlanta with G-Force on it. So we may have to go by and see what that's about. See if we can at least get, a pour and some photo ops there of that, because it's cool. It's a cool thing.
I want to see if they can hook one of the hoses up to the bottom of it, and I can drink directly from it. That would be
shotgun
amazing.
it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Get you a good picture. That's it's too bad it's not on a Friday for Long Beer Fridays there, right?
Yes, that would be the longest of the beers.
Would take the cake. It's like I have completed Long Beer Friday.
The final boss has been defeated.
Yeah. Well, Brian, speaking of World Cup stuff, we've got some info here. On-premise sales. We know the stories. We've seen the news out there about folks drinking beer, drinking bars out of beer there. The Scottish apparently really took their toll on Boston, but there's a little more news on how it impacted on-premise sales.
Yeah, I got a little bit more details on it. It's still underway, of course, but we knew it was going to have a significant impact on beer sales. We knew it was going to be big, but I don't think we really had any idea what it was going to look like. And thanks to Brewbound and Beer Board, who they quote, we're starting to get an idea of what that's looking like. The big wave of games means the soccer fans aren't just drinking more like we expected them to do. They are also changing their weekly beverage routines, which kind of makes sense. They're hitting their favorite bars much earlier in the week and earlier in the day than usual. Bars are getting a big boost right now, but retail shops are not seeing the same love, at least not according to the early numbers. And the people are hitting the taps hard at the bars. Both the volume of draft beer and the money it's making are both up 6% compared to the same period last year. That's a pretty significant jump. And because the tap lines are having trouble keeping up with the demand, bars and restaurants are falling back at bottles and cans to keep up. And so that means the packaged beers are up like 10% in the same period as well. So they're up even more than the draft is. And we've seen in the past that bars have been like lowering their number of taps, so they weren't ready for this. It's been on the opposite trend. But anyway, interestingly, Thursday has become the new Saturday during the World Cup. Thursday blew right past Saturday to claim the number 2 spot for the highest overall beer volume share at bars. So number 1, I presumably would be Friday, obviously. But Wednesday is also seeing huge growth numbers due to the scheduling of World Cup games. Mondays have become the unofficial recovery day for soccer fans. It has the sharpest drop in overall bar volume of any day of the week. So people are recovering on... It's a good thing they're recovering on Sunday. Obviously, that means they're not recovering on Sunday. Additionally, noon kickoff times are fueling a major lunch and happy hour boom. So people are really getting into happy hours these days. Craft beer taps are definitely benefiting from this, but the real volume winners are import beers on draft and Michelob Ultra. So Michelob Ultra is killing it right now. I have to wonder what the sales are going to look like when this is all done. Will this mean that people are increasingly in the habit of, heading to the bar to watch sporting events in the future? Or will they, cut back like they did after COVID? Because COVID saw a lot of excessive drinking and people cut back. But COVID was a little bit more prolonged, and this may be enough to get the habit in, like, hey, let's head out and watch the game somewhere. So maybe this is a trend in the right direction for bars and tap rooms. They certainly need that.
I think it's good, even if it's just a little temporary injections there, people going out enjoying the games. It doesn't surprise me that, on premise is seeing more growth in package sales. People are going to the pub, they're going to the games. They're going out there. We've seen it. I forget where it was, but I think it may have been, I I don't remember if it was England or Ireland, but there were these two pubs kind of across the street from each other here in Atlanta, and they kind of turned the whole little area in between it into like a party thing. And they had one of the little like social media news teams. They weren't like, I don't want to degrade what they do, but they weren't like a real news, like network news, but they did the social media. They were down there like 10 o'clock, and they're like, y'all, it's 10 o'clock, and they're out here drinking stouts. Like they've got Guinness out here.
Nice.
Now, you could tell that person didn't know that Guinness was actually kind of a lighter beer, but they're like, it's 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, and everybody out here has got pints of Guinness. It's like, good. Brings a little tear to your eye to hear that kind of thing. So, yeah, having a good time. But, yeah, even if it's temporary, man, it's been good stuff. People out there having a good time, feeling good, and enjoying some brews. So you can't argue with that. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Brian, it's not too disappointing for me because I did not drink this, but I know a lot of people did. And when we saw the news, I saw a few people say, hey, this is a bummer, because it was a really nice, affordable beer here. Costco, their Kirkland signature beers, which some of those were brewed by Deschutes, they're discontinuing that. And, I know that they had their fans out there, but they're going to discontinue the Deschutes brews through Costco's Kirkland.
Yeah, I didn't realize how big of a following this had because I saw a lot of articles about this. This popped up a lot of places, so this is kind of a big deal. So it's a bad news, for particularly people of the Kirkland Helles Lager, which seemed to be the most popular of the offerings. Costco pulling the plug on it, and by all reports, it's very popular with people who know about it. I saw the articles, like I said. I mean, it's well made. I've had it before. It sells for about $13.99 a 12-pack, so it's a heck of a deal compared to other beer options that are out there for the quality. And not only that, but the Kirkland Helles Lager won a silver medal at the 2025 World Beer Cup and a bronze medal in 2026. They beat other Helles Lagers that were actually made in Germany at these competitions 2 years in a row. But it's not just that particular beer. It's everything, like you'd said, everything under Kirkland's signature beer umbrella. And that also includes the Kirkland signature vintage ale that was getting a little bit of hype a while back. Around the holidays, people were going out and getting it. I had that. That was fine, but the Helles Lager is better, honestly. But they're also ending their partnership completely with Deschutes, Oregon's Deschutes Brewery, the maker of those beers. I believe they made all of the Kirkland signature stuff. They were under contract for that, and they took over from a previous brewery. That's got to sting a bit. That's a big loss in sale for Deschutes, so I feel for them because I like Deschutes.
Yeah.
But Costco has apparently made good on buying all the stock that has been produced. So if they've made it, Costco owns it. So that they're not sitting on stuff. Deschutes won't be dumping Helles Lager down the drain. So that'll make people feel a little bit better, I think. But so the source of this news was a leaked internal memo that was sent, between Deschutes and its distributors. So I'm guessing one of the distributors leaked it to the media. If you're a fan of these beers, you don't have a lot of time left to stock up. Deschutes is no longer supplying Helles Lager to its distributors at this point. So whatever's out there in distribution is all that's left. So it's not clear how long that supply will last, but the speculation is it'll probably be gone by September or October. So if you want to get some, go get some now. But there is a little hope for fans of the Helles Lager. The Deschutes CEO said that he wouldn't rule out the lager making a return at some point in the future, in some fashion. And I would be down for a Jerkland Helles from Deschutes in the future. That'd be fine. A little Jerkland Helles, yeah.
So Brian may not have been released in the news yet since we're getting this through a leaked memo, but is Costco partnering with someone else to make beer? Are they just going to discontinue their beer? I don't see them discontinuing beer. I know they do several spirits and that. So have we seen any news yet if there's going to be a new brewery picking it up?
Not yet. That's been a lot of the speculation as to what are they going to do with this. Are they going to go? I guess there's different levels of white labeling. They might go with a different brewery. They might stop making this in favor of just carrying beers made by, because they carry beers made by other breweries.
Right.
You get Monday night stuff at our local ones, and you get Sierra Nevada stuff. So they may no longer have their own beer that they make. They may just go with, they may have found it's too much of a hassle and not enough profit for them to continue doing it. Or they may have something even more special in mind. That is unknown. Couldn't tell you.
You know, it could be that, I mean, like you said, 13.99 a 12 pack. That may be hard to do these days, and maybe Costco just said we can no longer offer a beer at the price we would want to, to make it private label. I mean, if they're getting up closer to, what a craft beer costs. So all kinds of speculation on our parts, but we'll stay tuned and see what happens with it.
I think
It'll be
people would have
interesting.
grumbled if they bumped it up like $14.99 or $15.99, but I think
Yeah.
the people that like it would have continued to pay for it. So
I mean, you got to admit, even at 14, 14, if you're under $20 for a 12 pack anymore, I mean, that's, not that I've bought a 12 pack in a long time, but a couple bucks a beer these days. There was a conversation on Facebook, and I forget who posted it. One of the beer media groups, but they're like, is a $20 4-pack worth it? And, got to thinking, so if you're coming in a 4-pack, normally that's going to be a 16-ounce can,
Yes.
at least 16 or, it's not going to be 12-ounce cans, although, some of those have gone out. But a $20 4-pack of 16-ounce cans, we're talking $5 a pint. And if it's a good craft beer, if you're buying that at a brewery or at a bar, you're going to be $8 or more for that. So now we know when you buy to drink at home, it's cheaper, but what are your guys' thoughts on that? Brian, quality craft beer, good, solid, top tier IPA, $20 a 4-pack. What do you think of that as a value wise?
I'd say that's a heck of a deal because a lot of times it
Yeah.
figures out to be more than that, and I still buy it. Is it? I'd say it's worth it. I enjoy it. If I were really looking at the finances of it, I might stop for a second. Like, hold on, what am I really paying here? Because
Yeah.
you can definitely like I was mentioning earlier. I got the Summerfest from Sierra Nevada. That was probably, it was on special, but I think I got that for about $13 for a 12 pack. And really,
12-pack,
if all I
really?
cared
Okay.
about,
All right.
all I
Yeah.
cared about was just the volume of beer and having it around, I'm like, I could go with that, but I want the variety. I want interesting stuff. I do buy the stouts in a can for like $10 a can. I mean,
Right.
so I
Yeah.
have been known. I am a bad person to ask about the financial responsibility involved with buying a $20 4-pack because most of my 4-packs cost more than that.
Well, that's kind of what I thought when I saw that. Is I don't consider that an outrageous price, for, again, I'm not talking a 4-pack of a light lager or anything like that, but if we're talking, a typical average 16-ounce 4-pack of like a well-made IPA, if it's a stout, I'm all over it. Give me an imperial
Yeah.
stout and a 4-pack for $20. I'd buy that all day, no problem. So, Nate, what do you think about that?
I agree with you boys. Honestly, thinking about it in the perspective of going out to the bar, going out to the brewery, you're easily at a minimum spending $8 on a pint of quality craft beer. And to Brian's point, it's not like you are buying that 4-pack and that's going to be your weekend drinker. Like I'm buying a bunch of these at once.
Right.
That if I'm buying a $20 4-pack of really nice craft IPA, I'm going to have one or two of them, but then I'm going to have something else like, I don't know, like this, like a quality lager or something lighter, like a pale ale to get me through the weekend.
You're reaching for that Kirkland's, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the fridge beers, man, I think, all of us have them. There's a difference in enjoying it. Well, not Brian. He doesn't play that. He just keeps he's like, I'm going to drink what I want there. But, a lot of people do still, they've got the 12-pack or case that they keep in their fridge. And, and then, your better beers, if you want to put them that way. So, you're not going to put down 24 IPA, dip a tall boys on a weekend, or you shouldn't, if you,
You shouldn't.
you shouldn't. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good point. I don't typically get the 12-pack, and part of the reason I got the 12-pack is they were running like a 4th of July sale, and it was on
Right.
special. And I like the beer, and I know I will drink it a bunch of that. But when I get it home, I'm like, wow, that's a lot to go through. I either get 4-packs or I actually get mixed 4-packs of various, 16-ounce cans of various IPAs and stouts and whatever other interesting things are. So I'm very much a mix and match, like a little bit of everything. And me getting a 4-pack of just one beer is even not even the most common thing. Just because I'm on to the next thing. I'm trying this, and then I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try the next thing. So yeah.
But I know Summerfest is one just from years past. I know that's
Oh,
one
yeah.
you're going to drink. So, that if there's one that you can handle in a 12 pack, that's it. Especially since it's limited. If it's, you can't pick it up year round. So grab a 12 pack, and you can seasonal. What do we call it? Not season. What's the opposite of seasonal creep? I know we
Seasonal
came up
lag or something like that.
seasonal lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can seasonal lag that one through the end of the year. So
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I just remembered. I think one year, and I might have to do this again because I got the 12-pack. I got out my Oktoberfest Stein, the legitimate one, and it takes like 3 cans to fill it, but I might have to do a Summerfest and do that.
There you go,
I
man.
see your Oktoberfest, and I'll raise you a Summerfest.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Brian, before we move along, sir, how about we give a shout out to our friends at Truck and Tap?
Yes. So, the thing I always forget about summer is it isn't just sunshine and hot weather, though there's plenty of that. It's also random thunderstorms here in Georgia, and things can change pretty quickly when it comes to the weather. Fortunately, Truck and Tap has you covered for both scenarios. When the weather is nice, hit the patio and grab some grub from the day's food truck, and when the storms roll in, grab a seat inside and watch people run for cover while you enjoy your beer. It's good entertainment, people, and it's free. The weather is not the boss of you at Truck and Tap. And what are you going to drink while you're there? Well, I have a few ideas in my Truck and Tap beer picks for the week. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, I'm going with Boss Tweed from Old Nation. Boss Tweed is a New England double IPA, and I'm a big fan of it. When people talk about Old Nation, they usually bring up M43, and it's a good beer, don't get me wrong, but in my humble opinion, Boss Tweed is the superior beer. It does have a higher ABV than M43, but that's not the reason I like it more. I just dig the big tropical notes like pineapple, mango, and the really nice soft mouthfeel it's got. And if you haven't tried one before, you really should. It's a great beer. At the Duluth location, I'm getting Hop Quilt from Fonta Flora. Hop Quilt is an easy-drinking West Coast-style pale ale that has been dry hopped with Citra and Strata hops. And unlike the previous selection, the ABV here is much closer to being sessionable, coming in at just 5.4% ABV. I haven't had this one before, but I'm always excited to try a new beer from Fonta Flora. They've got a very interesting water profile. I know Tim is a big fan of it as well. At Truck and Tap Alpharetta, my pick is Ada from Halfway Crooks. I'm really excited to see this on tap somewhere other than Halfway Crooks. Ada is my favorite Halfway Crooks beer. It is a German Pilsner, and it is absolutely glorious. And bonus, this magic elixir is on their side pull tap there, so this is a can't-miss beer for sure. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I'm going with Pontoon's Rainbow Smiggles. Yes, Pontoon still makes this beer, and I forgot about it. I'm guessing you guys may have forgotten about it too, but years ago when they first brewed it, they got national media attention for it. It's a Berliner made with an absurd amount of Skittles candy and over 100 boxes of Trix cereal. We tried it back in the day because we just had to, and you know what? Not only was it better than we expected it to be, but as I recall, it was actually a good beer, so better and good. So I haven't had one in years, so I'd have to get one of these, get a pour of this, and just see how it measures up to what I remember. So there you have my beer picks for the week. Get out there and have a beer or two. And as always, if you'd like to see the full tap list before stopping by, take a look at truckandtap.com. The taps do change quickly, and you never know what great new beer might go on and which of these might sell out. And if you'd like to see what the food trucks are serving and what events are happening, your trivia, your karaoke, live music, seasonal festivals, cocktail specials, all that neat stuff, you can also find that at truckandtap.com. Everything you need to know can be found at truckandtap.com, so check that out. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Thank you, Truck and Tap. We always appreciate it. Brian, some news from the UK here. Samuel Smith, the brewery, so kind of a classic English brewery there, but the owner has passed away.
Yes, he has. Humphrey Smith, the eccentric owner of Samuel Smith's brewery and pub business, has died at the age of 81. And I did do a little looking into him. Was a very interesting character, and people have differing opinions about him, but I don't know him beyond being the owner of Samuel Smith's. But he may be best known for famously instituting a zero-tolerance ban on mobile phones, laptops, music, TVs, and even swearing in Samuel Smith's pubs. They have Samuel Smith's pubs over in the UK. The intent apparently was to ensure that the pubs were an escape from the outside world and all the digital noise and that sort of thing. He apparently once shut down a pub for a prolonged period and replaced the staff because they did not enforce this policy. So he shut the place down. He's that kind of eccentric fella, or was. He was also very private to the point of being secretive, but very loyal to Tadcaster, the brewery's hometown. And anytime you see a bottle, you'll see the town name on it, where the brewery's based. He was said to be the town's secret benefactor, quietly funding or building many of the town's amenities, and they love him there. He was also a stickler for tradition, which is the kind of leadership you need for a family brewery that's been running since 1758. So, yeah. He'd been running the business since the 1980s, so he'd been doing that for quite a while. Samuel Smith's is a much larger operation than most of us here in the U.S. realize. In addition to the brewery and the beers that we're familiar with, the business also runs 200 pubs across the U.K. His son Samuel is slated to take over the business with the passing of Humphrey Smith. Some have speculated there will be some changes with the operations, but others say that Samuel is likely to follow in his father's lead, and he's what's the apple off the tree? What's the saying where
apple doesn't fall far from the tree?
Yeah. He'll take his father's lead on most things. But anyway, R.I.P. Humphrey Smith. You did some great things for beer and some great things for your hometown, and yeah. I think it's worth recognizing that. Yeah.
I remember they have a chocolate stout that was one that I've enjoyed, and I think a nut brown ale, which is, the brown ale is kind of an underserved beer style, in my opinion. When done well, they can be good, and they're great for adjuncts. A little vanilla. I think we did almond and hazelnut, maybe.
I think we did cardamom too.
Cardamom,
back in the
coffee. So it's a good base for that. So, but yeah, Samuel Smith, maybe not the most cutting edge brewery. There's definitely not the most cutting edge brewery out there, but they did some classic styles pretty well, for sure.
I think they intentionally brewed things the old way. Like they resisted the temptation to upgrade things. I don't have all the specifics on it, but it seems like there's a considerable volume of information to learn about Samuel Smith. If you want to dig into it, I think it would be fascinating.
Yeah, 200 and some years. They're older than our country, Brian.
So, 268.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, Brian, this was kind of a bummer to read. They do a lot of fun, interesting beers, and we just saw some news of another brewery that's going away. Untitled Art is closing.
Yeah, so reportedly Untitled Art is closing. They're a big deal in the modern craft beer scene, and this is being reported by New School and Brewbound both. But as of this moment, it hasn't been 100% confirmed. The news is based on, again, another case of internal sources and memos circulated, this time around the company to employees and partners who somebody leaked it out there. But they're probably best known for their beer, and they're really, really well-made non-alcoholic beers, so they do a great job with those, or did. But like many brewers these days, they also, were into more than just beer. They had a lot of stuff. Apparently, some of it was pretty successful by all reports. They had a number of offerings, including CBD, THC, and hard seltzer beverages. There's something interesting going on here. So Untitled Art, they've been talking about growth and how good everything's going in the news up to this point. But Untitled Art products were being produced at Octopi Brewing, which was purchased by Asahi back in January 2024. Regarding the closure, Asahi stated that in what seems like very carefully worded, press release, basically, that Untitled Art and Octopi are separate companies, and that they had continued to partner with them as a co-packing client, and also that they were unable to comment on whether or not Untitled Art has made a decision to close their business. So very carefully worded. The rumor going around is that Untitled Art is losing their contract brewing arrangement with Octopi to make room for additional Asahi production, leading to the shutdown of the brand because they don't have another place to go for this. Meanwhile, Untitled Art's website has a message saying, "Pardon the delay, we're moving," but the dates mentioned for that move on the website are back in May. We're in July now. So I'm just wondering, are we starting to see a pattern here, like Japanese macro beers buying brands, buying American breweries, American beer brands, killing off the brand, and then using the facilities to mass produce their own brand once they've killed them off? It kind of seems a little parasitic, and maybe I'm a little tinfoil hatty here, but it kind of looks like we're seeing Sapporo part 2 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Electric Boogaloo here, huh?
Yes, the Electric Boogaloo version of Sapporo's
Brian, though,
activity.
I don't think we can put that just on Japanese breweries, though, because we've seen it with, other big brands. You buy them, you see what they're doing. I never fully understood the relationship with octopi and untitled art. They always seem pretty intertwined there. But who knows? But yeah, and I mean, for any brewery, Japanese or otherwise, I bet they are smart business people, is my point. So you see a brewery maybe struggling financially. It's like, hey, these guys are, good enough, but I bet we could get them on the cheap here. In many cases, it's probably cheaper to do that than to build a new facility,
Oh,
So
sure, yeah.
I'm sure it's their strategic thinking of like, look, we can do this, we can ease into this, and then use the facility to produce more of our beers there.
Yeah.
So
What would look good coming out of that brewery instead of the trucks that are Asahi trucks, just nothing
yeah,
but Asahi trucks. So
just
if
keep
we
it
buy
flowing,
that
man.
in a
Yeah,
couple of years, it'll be nothing but our beer. It's possible, and I'm jumping to conclusions here. Obviously, it's not 100% sure that they're out of business. It's not formalized, and they did not own. Unlike the Anchor situation, they did not own Untitled Art. Untitled Art, it was
yeah,
free to do
separate.
whatever they want,
Right.
but if they turned off the taps, that kind of torpedoes their business.
Guess we'll see, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like there's still just a lot of open ends and unanswered questions on this
Yeah.
one. So, just based on we are reporting what we know right now. So, and we'll stay tuned. But they did fun stuff. They did quite a bit of fun stuff out there. So,
Yeah, it'll be sad to see them go. Their beers were really well made, a lot of them, and especially their non-alcoholic beers were surprisingly close to the point of fooling you in a lot of cases. They're like, oh my god, that's non-alcoholic. I would never have known. So
I can't
they
believe
did a really
it's
good
not
job
beer.
with that. Yeah, I can't believe it's not beer.
Good stuff, man. So, Brian, again, sells, moves, changes all the time. But information came out that California's Lost Coast Brewing is up for sale.
Yeah, one of California's most beloved and longest-running craft breweries. It's officially for sale. I didn't realize how long they'd been around, honestly. But it's not because of breweries having financial difficulties, though. They do acknowledge that sales are not as hot as they once were. But that's true across the board for everybody. Owner Barbara Groom is 80 years old, and she's ready to retire so she can travel. So she's retiring from the brewery at 80. Lost Coast is has some serious staying power. It started all the way back in 1989 as a local brewery and restaurant. To keep up with the growing demand, they moved to a state-of-the-art 75,000 square foot facility in 2014. And interestingly, Lost Coast is also one of the first women-owned breweries in the country, and I had no idea about that either. And for a while, it was in the Brewers Association's list of top 50 craft breweries in the country. I think they last rated as number 42 back in 2023. So they've dropped a little bit off of that. Sales have slowed down a bit, but they're a big player, especially in California. Another fun tidbit and possibly the key to the brewery's early success was free chicken wings. I love this about this story. I'd never heard this before. In the early days of the brewery, nobody knew what craft beer was when we're talking back 1989. So she gave away free buffalo wings to get people in the door and drinking her beer, and it totally worked. People started going and drinking their beer to get the free wings. Anyway, there are no prospective buyers as of yet. Barbara Groom says it's early days. She's just getting the word out there. She's looking into doing it, and she's 80. If anybody deserves to retire and go do a little traveling, it's definitely her.
It's been around a long time.
Yeah.
Long time to run a brewery, man. Yeah.
And active in it, too. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I don't know if I've tried anything from them.
I have. It's been quite a while. I want to say that one of the first times I ever had a hot pepper beer was at what's the Oregon Brewers Festival. I think it's the Oregon Brewers Festival is what they were calling it back in the day.
That was what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's still going on, but it was there. It was from Lost Coast. It was some sort of hot pepper beer, and I had it, and I was in love with the thing. I'm like, this is fantastic. And we're talking late 90s. I'm like, this blew my mind. I didn't know this could be possible. So, and I believe it was from Lost Coast. It was some special thing that they did for that festival. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I still remember in the world of pepper beers, No Label Brewing out of Texas did one called Don Jalapeno.
Yes.
And it used a mix of like fresh raw jalapenos and roasted. So you got the flavor of both there. That was just so well done. I think that I got it like later, and I think did they close? I can't even keep up, these days with who's closed or not. But I think I remember trying it, and they tweaked it some, and it wasn't like it was. But at one time, that was a really really nice pepper beer.
Yeah, I think it was just an amber ale too. It was
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
it was
it's
not something
good.
you would have expected to be nearly as amazing as it was. That was fantastic, and I'm pretty sure that the beer is no longer made. I'm not sure about the brewery. They may no longer be there too. But man, that would be worth. Somebody needs to bring that beer back.
I'm gonna assume that Nate is googling right now to tell us the status of No Label
He looks
Brewing.
very
I
intense
just know it.
on what he's
He's
doing.
on it.
So yeah.
Yeah. So Brian, moving along Ballast Point, man, this is some news popped up on Ballast Point. We've watched them for a while. It's been interesting since their $1 billion sale years ago. But they have closed tap rooms.
Yeah, yeah. I keep watching this. I can't turn away because the Ballast Point is kind of that dumpster fire. It's not going well for them, and it hasn't for a lot of years. If people have forgotten about Ballast Points and who they are, that's to be forgiven because they haven't been super relevant in a long time. But they were the brewer that sold for $1 billion back in 2015. Was that Heineken that they sold to? I don't
don't even
remember.
remember who bought them at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whoever
no
made that
idea.
very expensive mistake. But at the time, in 2015, Ballast Point was the 11th largest craft brewery in the U.S. About 5 years later, I think that's about the timeline, Ballast Point was sold to Kings and Convicts for $17 million. They dropped from $1 billion to
Wild.
$17 million.
Wild.
And this week, we've learned that the beleaguered brand has officially shut down their brew pub in the San Francisco's popular Mission Bay neighborhood. The brewery unceremoniously broke the news on social media on the day of the closure. Ballast Point's journey to opening that San Francisco tap room was chaotic. It was a 5-year roller coaster. They planned the expansion in 2018. They abandoned it in 2019. Then they closed a bunch of facilities. Then they revived it in 2021, opened in 2023, and then they closed again 3 years later. So this is just chaos. It's insane. But so Ballast Point is not out of business, though. They do have 3 other tap rooms that are still operating. According to their website, their beer does still go out into distribution, though I'm not seeing it where they claim it's going. But honestly, I kind of keep watching them a little bit to hear the news that they're closing. I don't want it to happen, but it seems the direction they're heading is sooner or later we're going to hear bad news about Ballast Point, or
Have
maybe
you
some.
tried anything from them recently? Like, how's their quality in that? Tyler, I think Tyler was chatting with us a minute ago. I think I saw him get a Sculpin not long ago. So Tyler, if you're still around, let us know, how Sculpin is doing. But
I want to say that I saw Sculpin recently, but then when I went out looking again to see the place I'd seen it, I realized that I don't know how old that memory is, and it was not there. So
okay,
I don't know where they have distribution. Their website does indicate they have distribution here. I'll keep an eye out for it. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll run into some and try it again. Here's the problem with some of that, because it doesn't move well and it's no longer as hot as it once was. A lot of time you see product that's been sitting there for a while,
old.
and
Yeah.
package stores aren't good about like rotating, getting the old stuff out of there. They just want to sell whatever's on the shelf. And I run into places that have stuff that's like over a year old, an IPA on a warm shelf that's over a year old. I'm like, nobody should be buying that. Nobody should be.
Should have been removed a long time ago.
Oh,
if
yeah,
you're that old
yeah.
there. That was another one. Talking about beer prices, we were talking about the $20 4-packs earlier. That was one that was generated a lot of chatter when they came into the state. So,
Oh yeah.
and I don't remember what it was, like $13.99 or $15.99 for the 6-packs of the grapefruit Sculpin. And at the time, has that been a decade ago at this point?
Oh, probably, yeah.
So, or more, but at the time that was a lot. And people, now of course they griped about it as they were headed to the checkout with a 6-pack, but they still griped about it. But
this is the most expensive beer ever. Let me
I'll
get a
take
second
2.
one of those.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Brian, another fun one we are enjoying, watching along and seeing what's going on. Anchor. I don't know if this is news as much as it is rumblings, but a little social media posts, a little bit of label information. What do we know about the current state of the story of Anchor?
Okay, so we knew from before that we were planning on bringing back Anchor Steam and Old Foghorn. Apparently, Anchor has received the federal approval they need and can now proceed with selling the beer. What we didn't realize, or I didn't know before, was that the original labels for all these beers are coming back. So the highly controversial Sapporo rebrand of Anchor has been completely scrapped, as it should be. And the original artwork, which was created by Jim Stitt, he did all the hand-drawn illustrations that became inseparable from the Anchor brand over a 45-year partnership he had with the brewery. I think he's still around. He's like 95. But anyway, that's all coming back. So you're going to see the Anchor you remember when you do see it again. Another promising thing popped up on social media this week, or maybe it was last week. Hamdi Ulukaya, the Chobani yogurt guy that bought the place, he posted a picture of himself watching the World Cup, presumably at the brewery. It looked like it was like a projection screen in the brewery, and he had a 6-pack of Anchor Steam that he was working on one of the bottles of, and it was all laid out, so you could tell he was drinking Anchor. So the beer may be much closer to a return than anybody realized, but I think that California is going to see it first. I don't think we're going to be seeing it around the country, but it'll start creeping out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if people call up their old muling buddies and have them go pick up some and have it sent out here, because I want to see if they can bring it back and if it's going to taste like it did before.
I got the connection. I got the Cali connections, man. You know, if something comes up, I've got a network. We can work something out there. So, and you know what? With all that's going on, and man, it's been a while, but I'm excited to see him come back, man. And you know, we talked about it when they closed. None of us regularly drank Anchor Steam or really any of the Anchor beers. We always look forward to the Christmas ale when it came around and that. But look there, Hamda. If you get some Anchor Steam back out, I'll buy a 6-pack. That's it. So I hope that's enough to save the brewery and keep it opening. The one 6-pack that I buy ever, I hope that helps.
We were going to close, but then Tim bought that 6-pack.
Tim bought a 6er. Thank you, Mr. Dennis. I do what I can, guys. I do what I can.
Every year I bought a fair amount of the Christmas beer, the Anchor Christmas one. I could find it. I liked it. It was always unusual. It was different every year. I love the new art every year. It was kind of fun. It's like a different tree every year by that same graphic artist that did it. So yeah, I'll get it. I'm definitely committing to buying a 6-pack of it, and I'm hoping one of the highest priority things they do is get out the Christmas beer as soon as possible, because I do want that back. I really do.
Yeah, be good. Maybe they'll do some new fun stuff too, man. See what we can do here. Since Ulukaya knows cultures, man, maybe we can see a sour program come out of there, because those are real popular these days. So
like a collab with Chobani.
The Chobani collab. Chobani was like, what? Anchor Chobani. I'll buy it. I'll support.
Yeah, I mean a Berliner. I think that would work just fine.
Get that lactobacillus. Yeah, it'll work out. Sure enough. Awesome. Well, y'all, that about wraps our show up for this week. As always, we appreciate you hanging out here with us. If you enjoy what we're doing, we would love for you to tell your friends to tune into the show, subscribe, maybe share a link to the show on your favorite social media. We are always appreciative of that. If you really enjoy us, we'd love it if you go to patreon.com/beerguys and give us $5 a month or more. We'll take more, but in return, we'll send you some swag out. We'll send you some cool Beer Guys swag. We'll get you on the Discord server to chat with us about life in general, and beer and whiskey and knives and all kinds of stuff there. And we'll give you an invite to come hang out and have a beer with us at the after party each week. But with all that said, we do hope that you have a really, really good week. And don't forget to drink local. Cheers.